Stop defending yourself to people who only want your reaction. Not because you are wrong, not because you are weak, and not because you have nothing to say, but because some conversations are not built for understanding. They are built to pull you out of yourself. They are built to make you explain. Then explain again. Then explain so much that you begin to sound like someone begging to be believed. Never argue with someone who is not listening. Never defend yourself to someone who has already judged you. Never explain your peace to people who only feel powerful when they can disturb it. Because the moment they control your reaction, they control the room inside your mind. And when someone can make you lose your calm with one sentence, they have found a door into you. Silence closes that door. Not with anger, not with revenge, not with pride, but with discipline. Silence says, I will not leave myself just to correct your opinion of me. Silence says, my peace is no longer available for emotional war. And sometimes, the strongest thing you will ever say is nothing. You know the feeling. Someone says something unfair. They twist your words. They reduce your intention to something ugly. They speak about you with confidence, as if they understand your heart better than you do. And instantly, something inside you reacts. Your chest tightens, your jaw locks, your mind becomes loud. You start building the perfect response. You think of every sentence you should say, every point you need to clarify, every detail they are ignoring. You want to show them that you are not selfish, not cold, not difficult, not weak, not the person they are trying to make you seem. So you explain. You write the message. Then you rewrite it. Then you make it longer. You soften your tone. You add more context. You defend your character. You try to prove your heart. And for a moment it feels like the right thing to do. Because you are not trying to fight. You are trying to be understood. You are trying to make the truth matter. You are trying to make them see what they refuse to see. But the more you explain, the smaller you feel. The more you defend, the more power they seem to gain. Because every paragraph becomes another doorway, another place for them to twist you, another place for them to misunderstand you on purpose. And slowly, you realize something painful. They were not asking for clarity. They were asking for access. Access to your nervous system. Access to your wounds. Access to the part of you that still panics when someone sees you the wrong way. And by the end of the conversation, you are not peaceful. You are drained. Not because you lost, but because you left yourself trying to be understood by someone who was never trying to understand. You know the feeling. Someone says something unfair. They twist your words. They reduce your intention to something ugly. They speak about you with confidence, as if they understand your heart better than you do. And instantly, something inside you reacts. Your chest tightens, your jaw locks, your mind becomes loud. You start building the perfect response. You think of every sentence you should say, every point you need to clarify, every detail they are ignoring. You want to show them that you are not selfish, not cold, not difficult, not weak, not the person they are trying to make you seem. So you explain. You write the message. Then you rewrite it. Then you make it longer. You soften your tone. You add more context. You defend your character. You try to prove your heart. And for a moment it feels like the right thing to do. Because you are not trying to fight. You are trying to be understood. You are trying to make the truth matter. You are trying to make them see what they refuse to see. But the more you explain, the smaller you feel. more you defend, the more power they seem to gain. Because every paragraph becomes another doorway, another place for them to twist you, another place for them to misunderstand you on purpose. And slowly, you realize something painful. They were not asking for clarity. They were asking for access. Access to your nervous system. Access to your wounds. Access to the part of you that still panics when someone sees you the wrong way. And by the end of the conversation, you are not peaceful. You are drained. Not because you lost, but because you left yourself trying to be understood by someone who was never trying to understand. The real problem is not the argument. The real problem is what the argument awakens inside you. The fear of being misrepresented. The fear of being blamed unfairly. The fear that if someone believes the wrong thing about you, then maybe the wrong thing becomes true. So you fight, not just with their words, but with the fear that their opinion has power over your identity. This is where people lose themselves. They think they are defending the truth. But deep down, they are trying to protect their worth. They think they are correcting a misunderstanding. But emotionally they are saying, please do not see me like that. Please do not make me the villain. Please understand that I am not what you think I am. And that is human. It is not weakness. It is pain. But pain becomes dangerous when it starts negotiating with people who do not respect your peace. Because when your peace depends on being understood, anyone can control you by misunderstanding you. When your confidence depends on approval, anyone can control you by judging you. When your stability depends on fairness, unfair people become your masters. And this is the hidden trap. You are not only arguing with them, you are arguing with your own insecurity. You are arguing with the part of you that still believes your value needs witnesses. You are arguing with the old wound that says, if I do not explain myself, I will be abandoned. If I do not defend myself, they will think I am guilty. If I stay silent, I lose. But silence is not always losing. Sometimes silence is the moment you stop turning your soul into evidence. Sometimes silence is the moment you stop placing your dignity on trial. Sometimes silence is the moment you finally understand that not every person deserves the deepest parts of your truth. The Stoic path begins with one quiet question. What is mine to control, and what is not? You do not control how they interpret you. You do not control what story they tell. You do not control whether they are fair. You do not control whether they apologize. You do not control whether they admit the truth. You do not control whether they have the maturity to see your side. But you control your response. You control your breath. You control your tone. You control your next action. You control whether you enter the battlefield. You control whether their chaos becomes your character. This is where real power begins. Not in controlling people, but in refusing to be controlled by them. A weak mind reacts to every insult. A restless mind explains to every critic. An insecure mind needs every person to understand. But a disciplined mind knows the cost of unnecessary words. Because anger is expensive. Over-explaining is expensive. Defending yourself to the wrong person is expensive. It costs energy. It costs focus. It costs sleep. It costs dignity. It costs peace. And peace is not a small thing. Peace is the ground your whole life stands on. If someone can steal your peace with one accusation, they have more access than they deserve. If someone can make you become cruel, loud, desperate, or unstable, then the real loss is not the argument. The real loss is self-command. A Stoic does not ask, how do I make them understand me? Stoic asks, what kind of person do I become when I respond? Not, how do I prove I am right? But, is proving myself worth losing my center? Not, what will they think if I stay silent? But what will I think of myself if I keep abandoning my calm for people who feed on my reaction? This is not passivity. This is command. This is not fear. This is discipline. This is not silence because you are powerless. This is silence because you finally understand where your power lives. Modern psychology explains why this feels so hard. When someone attacks your character, your brain does not always hear it as a simple sentence. It can feel like danger. Your nervous system reacts before your wisdom arrives. Your body prepares to fight, to defend, to explain, to fix, to prove. That is why your heart beats faster. That is why your hands tense. That is why your mind starts racing with everything you should say. Your body is trying to protect you. But often, the danger is not physical. It is emotional. It is shame. It is rejection. It is the fear of being seen as bad. The fear of being misunderstood again. The fear of being blamed for something you never meant. And when a present moment touches an old wound, your reaction becomes bigger than the situation itself. You are not only replying to the person in front of you, you are replying to every time you were not believed, every time you were dismissed, every time you had to explain your pain to someone who made you feel dramatic, every time someone hurt you and then acted like your reaction was the real problem. So when someone misunderstands you now, your nervous system remembers, and it says, defend yourself, fix this, make them understand. Do not let them leave with the wrong version of you. But this is where awareness matters, because not every impulse is wisdom. Sometimes the urge to explain is fear wearing the mask of clarity. Sometimes the need to defend is shame asking for permission to rest. Sometimes the desire to win is the wounded ego trying to feel safe again. And the way out is not to become cold. It is to become conscious, to notice the trigger, to feel the fire, to pause before the wound speaks for you. Because silence is not just the absence of words. Silence is nervous system discipline. Silence is emotional regulation. Silence is the ability to feel everything and still choose who you become next. There are 3 steps, simple, but not easy. First, pause before you respond. Do not let the first wave of emotion write your next sentence. The first wave is usually heat, fear, ego, injury. The first wave wants to win. The deeper self wants to stay whole. So pause, breathe, feel your feet on the ground, relax your jaw, unclench your hands. Let the emotion move through your body without becoming your behavior. Ask yourself, am I responding from peace or from pain? Am I speaking with wisdom, or am I trying to make this anxiety stop? Will this response protect my dignity, or will it pull me deeper into the trap? A mature person does not confuse urgency with importance. The stronger the trigger, the longer the pause should be. 10 minutes, 1 hour, 1 night. Let your nervous system calm down before you let your mouth or your fingers represent your character. Second, ask yourself, is this a conversation or is this a trap? A real conversation has curiosity. A real conversation has humility. A real conversation has space for both people to be human. But a trap has accusation. A trap has twisting. A trap has sarcasm. A trap changes the subject every time you answer clearly. A trap makes you defend one thing, then another, until you forget what you were even trying to protect. If someone is truly listening, clarity helps. But if someone is committed to misunderstanding you, clarity becomes fuel. So stop performing honesty for people who use it as ammunition. Stop giving emotional access to people who weaponize your vulnerability. Stop entering conversations where the price of being heard is losing yourself. Third, exit with dignity, not with hatred, not with revenge, not with a need to punish, but with calm finality. Sometimes dignity sounds like, I'm not going to argue about this. Sometimes it sounds like, you are free to see it that way. Sometimes it sounds like, I have explained myself once. I will not keep defending my intentions. Sometimes it sounds like, nothing at all, because no response is still a response when it comes from self-respect. But understand this clearly. There is a difference between silent treatment and silent strength. Silent treatment tries to control another person. Silent strength controls yourself. Silent treatment says, I want you to suffer. Silent strength says, I will not suffer just to keep this conflict alive. Your silence should not be a weapon. It should be a boundary, a closed door, a calm refusal, a return to yourself. There is a version of you who no longer reacts to every noise. A version of you who does not write paragraphs to people committed to missing the point. A version of you who does not confuse silence with weakness. A version of you who understands that character does not need constant public defense. This version of you is not numb, not passive, not afraid. This version of you is disciplined, selective, steady, quietly powerful. You still speak when speech is necessary. You still clarify when clarity is useful. You still stand firm when something truly matters. But you no longer waste sacred energy on people who only want emotional access. You no longer attend every argument you are invited to. You no longer enter every room where your name is being misused. You no longer chase every person who walks away with the wrong idea. Because you understand something now. Some battles are designed to lower you. And even if you win them, you still lose if you have to become less of yourself to do it. This is maturity, not the ability to destroy someone with words, but the ability to remain whole when someone tries to pull you apart. Not the need to prove everyone wrong, but the strength to live so grounded that their wrong opinion cannot uproot you. Not the need to be understood by everyone, but the courage to be misunderstood without becoming bitter. That is quiet power. The world teaches you to respond quickly. Quiet power teaches you to respond consciously. The world teaches you to defend your image. Quiet power teaches you to protect your integrity. The world teaches you to win the argument. Quiet power teaches you not to lose yourself. And once you taste that kind of peace, drama begins to feel expensive. You start to notice how many arguments are just invitations to abandon your center. You start to see how many explanations are just fear trying to sound intelligent. You begin to realize that your calm is not empty. It is full of command, full of restraint, full of strength, full of the person you are becoming. So let them misunderstand you. Let them talk. Let them build a version of you that only exists in their mind. Let them call your silence arrogance because they can no longer access your reaction. Let them think they won because you stopped replying. You do not need to correct every false story. You do not need to chase every person who leaves with the wrong idea. You do not need to bleed truth in places where honesty is treated like weakness. Your life is not a courtroom. Your soul is not on trial. And your peace is not something you should spend on people who only feel powerful when you lose control. Sometimes the strongest answer is a calm breath. Sometimes the clearest explanation is your absence. Sometimes the most powerful defense is the way you continue living, without hatred, without noise, without needing applause for your restraint. Never argue with people who profit from your reaction. Never defend yourself to people who enjoy making you feel guilty. Never explain your depth to people committed to staying shallow. Speak when it is wise. Clarify when it is useful. Stand firm when it is necessary. But when the conversation becomes a battlefield for your peace, step back. Not because you are weak, but because you are no longer available for emotional war. Your silence is not emptiness. It is discipline. It is boundary. It is self-respect. It is the quiet moment where you stop asking the world to understand you before you allow yourself to be free. And one day, you will realize something powerful. You did not lose when you stopped arguing. You returned to your breath, to your center, to your dignity, to the part of you that never needed their permission to be whole. Because the calmest person in the room is not the one with nothing to say. It is the one who finally understands. Not everything deserves a response, and not everyone deserves access to your peace.